Usually when fictional characters are brought to life, it looks really weird. And that's why in this video, I decided to ruin your childhood even further by making famous cartoons realistic. We'll go from the most normal to the most uncanny looking one. With the Minecraft trailer that dropped a couple weeks ago, I thought it would be a good opportunity to butcher some more iconic characters. Speaking of iconic characters, our first design is Bender from Futurama. And since it's a robot, it should be fairly easy. The first step is collecting photos of metal elements that I could combine to make a robot. It's kinda like gathering scrap metal from dump, but digitally. I imported the drawing of Bender as reference and decided to start with the head. I took this metal pill, cut it out and masked it to match the shape of Bender's head. Next I needed to make the antenna, so I took a flipped metal ball and color matched it to the head. Then I warped the metal rod into place and topped it off with a sphere.
Nice job, team!
Now we need to make the teeth, and it's not easy. I'm not too sure what it's supposed to be made of in the actual show, but I think we could pull it off with a glass window.
What?
We'll just make a pattern out of it and warp it a little bit. It's time to complete his face with eyes. Now, to make these eyes, the obvious choice is light bulbs. I just think it's a perfect match. Let me light these up and give them a little iris. With the head out of the way, I need to start making the body. First, let's give this guy arms and legs. I'll use these and just give them a puppet warp. And while I'm at it, I'll just add feet. Half of a sphere will do.
Nice.
A lot of what happens after is very repetitive, so let me sum it up for you. New element, warp, ball, warp again, color match. Oh, that's a new one. Warp, more warp. Oh, looks like we're warping again. Alright, now that you're all caught up, I'm gonna trace a shadow on the body to pretend there's a door. And I'll apply layer style to make it look 3D. Now it's really just a matter of importing every last element, the knob, the cigar, and the beer. You might have noticed that it looks like a terrible collage, so to fix this we need to match the colors of every metal using tinted saturation as well as levels. It still looks a bit flat, doesn't it? Let's add shadows, some over here, some over there, just blend it all together and there you have a realistic-ish version of Bender. I think it's very nice. But do you know what else I think? I think you should prepare to have your childhood completely destroyed because our next design is Finn the Human from Adventure Time. This design is going to be a lot more weird because it's a character that is supposed to be human but has very inhumane proportions. Just like before, we're going to start with the head. I got a white ski mask and warped it in place. Then I got a portrait of a kid and bored parts of his cheeks. I traced the mouse and started taking his teeth out one by one. Then I shaded the mouth properly and placed the eyes on the right spot. So far, it looks kinda scary. Anyway, let's move on to the body. I'll import a blue t-shirt and warp it to match the shape of the original drawing. Let me also make the sleeves by tracing the original shapes and masking parts of the t-shirt. While I'm at it, I might as well make the arms. Same process. I'll warp the forearm photo and mask it to match the drawing. Let's do the same thing on the other side. And it's now time to make the hands. You might have noticed that Finn has very small hands, so I had the idea to get baby hands photos as they would have the same proportions. I just need to adjust the fingers and color match this part to the arm. Surprisingly enough, it did work pretty good.
Woo! Yeah!
I was ready to move on to the lower part of the body. Basically, I just took a short and warped it in place. Except the recording is corrupted for this part, so... Anyway, I went on to make the legs. Same old story, warping and masking. Making the shoes was a bit more tricky as they appear to have a rather strange angle on the drawing. I just cut out part of the shoes photos I found and warped them a lot until it looked okay. Some socks on top and we're looking pretty good so far. Next up was the backpack. I couldn't find the right angle for the bag, but with some clever masking and warping, as well as a little bit of color correction, I was able to make it work. The sword was also just a little warping and masking, so much fun. And there you have a realistic Finn the Human. It looks very strange, but really not as much as our next design, Homer Simpson. I guess that's the design you've all been waiting for, and it's not gonna be an easy one. First I'll start with the iconic white polo. I got a few photos of men wearing white polos at a somewhat similar angle, so I'll cut out parts like the collar and warp them to match Homer's. Piece after piece, I'm patiently recreating the polo at exactly the right proportions.
Bing bong bong en horizontal, bang 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 en vertical. Ça là, c'est Willy!
With this one, I tried to do as little masking as possible. I think it makes it look more realistic. Now that the polo is done, I need to make his arms. And this is a bit more tricky, as Homer's arms are massive. Bro's got bigger biceps than Chris Hemsworth's. Anyway, I separated the arm and forearm and warped the arm before. I duplicated it to fill in all the space and made the transition between the two parts smoother. Same process for the forearm, and it looks surprisingly believable. I did the same thing on the other side. Nice. Now I just need to make the fingers. And lucky me, there is only one hand visible. I originally wanted to warp fingers to match Homer's.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, it didn't exactly work out. So instead, I took chunks of skin and masked them. Then I added some texture and more importantly, some nails. Next, we have to make pants. I found this photo of a guy wearing baggy jeans at the right angle, so I cut out the upper part and warped it. Same for the lower part. Next, I imported a photo of pretty nice boots, cut out the lower part and warped the hell out of it. Some shadows later, it's all coming together. Now comes the hardest part of this design. The only thing left is his head. And where else could I start than on his huge forehead? I got a photo of a couple of bald dudes, and you know the drill, I warped them. Then I added his tiny ear, and somehow warped the nose into this thing. I just completed the skin area of his face bits by bits until the only thing left were the mouth and the eyes. I got an eyeball from Google Image and made the iris smaller. Now obviously it just looks like the eyes are gonna fall out of his skull. So I'll give them eyelids and bits of skin all around to make them look like they're part of the face. The only thing left is the beard, and it's quite annoying to make. Thankfully, after some research, I found this photo that I could cut out and warp somewhat decently. And there we have it. Realistic Homer Simpson.
That's like a 10 out of 5.
Which design is your favorite? Mine definitely has to be Homer because it looks so damn weird. If you want to see another video just like this, you can click right here. Oh, and also like and subscribe.